All passengers and crew accounted for.
Are you asking me if I killed the captain?
Marshal! Is someone gonna tell us what the hell is going on?
I've heard about you, about your problems with money, with drinking.
You're not hijacking this plane. I'm trying to save it. Why me? Why? Why me? Why? Why me? Nancy, get the doctor now.
I think there are a lot of surprises, honestly, and that's what I liked about it. Is it's not predictable, and just when you think you figured out the mystery, it kind of heads somewhere else.
Jama's done a brilliant job letting us think that it's everybody on the plane, that you just are focused on people and you don't know. You think, well, he must be the bad guy. No, she must be the bad guy.
It must be him, or maybe it's her. There's an element to the film that's like an old-fashioned whodunit. We do have a couple of shady individuals on board this flight, packed flight.
Everybody, you have almost 300 passengers, and you don't know who at any moment could do anything.
7:35. If you meet a stranger, you don't know much about them, and they generally don't reveal themselves, particularly on a plane. If you're sitting with somebody on a plane, you can go an entire plane ride without speaking to somebody. I think it's very old-fashioned. It really reminds me of the movies in the 70s where you had like a large cast in one situation, you wait to see what would happen.
I'm a big fan of disaster movies where all the characters have to kind of come together at the end to face an impossible situation.
But I think that's cool because it's happening through, social media, and it's happening through a text message.
We're living in a modern world where nothing happens without the entire world knowing it. Everyone's connected. Even when you're flying across the Atlantic Ocean, we're all connected. Even though this story is unfolding in real time in this enclosed environment, the whole world is watching.
Fahim Nasir, you're a doctor.
How do you know?
You're back.
When I first started meeting with Jama about the character, he knew that he wanted him to have an accent of some kind, and he knew that he didn't want him to be American. Dr. Nasir is a religious Muslim man who is afraid of flying. So it's sort of playing into, I think, very obvious fears that people have.
So it takes a lot of those ideas we have about what terrorism is and throws us on its head.
Charles Wheeler, stand.
There was nothing in his bag?
I imagine the audience will be thinking, well, it can't be. It can't be him because it's too stereotypical, but then maybe it's so obvious that it is, it's a double kind of red herring.
It's a brave film in lots of ways because 97% of it is filmed on board an airplane.
That's pretty rare these days, and especially in the sort of claustrophobic atmosphere of a plane.
You never leave the plane. And there are people that sometimes interact, who call or communicate, but you never leave the people that we're dealing with.
It feels more like a play in that sense.
Nancy.
So there's that feeling of not being able to hide. As an actor, you don't have quite as much freedom to, move around.
We're sitting there, in a majority of the time, we're just in these coach class seats, scrunched up.
It's pretty trying for us being on the same sound stage or the same set for so long, for I guess 4 or 5 weeks. It's like waking up every morning and flying to Australia and then going to bed. It's almost kind of like Groundhog Day.
Or it's like being on a 2-month flight. It's like flying to the moon. You know what I mean? It's like every day you wear the same exact outfit.
Every day we were with the same extras who were playing the passengers, and we were on the same set, and it was a real challenge for the filmmakers to make it interesting.
One of the keys to make this movie interesting visually is to keep turning and twisting not only the plot, but also the visuals. So even though the movie happens in one space, every 10 minutes we change the rules, keeping it fresh. It has a real visual journey.
When we were first talking about how to lay the plane out, we really thought of it as larger blocks. We couldn't take an old airplane and cut it apart and slap it onto a stage. When you're doing an airplane movie that has this much work on the plane, you can't really have a set that's not user-friendly. We basically designed our own aircraft.
It gives me an opportunity to explore visually one set and really show what I can do as a director.
I think these plane sets they're like machines. You have to set them up way ahead of time with ways that they're interesting as they're being shot. So one of the things that we talked about is different systems to build within the plane that would allow different ways of moving the camera through space. So we made all of the sidewalls be able to lift up like an old gullwing Mercedes. So you could open up all of business class and all of main cabin and do one shot from the outside of the plane all the way along without anything in your way.
He structured that plane with special rigs and tracks in it.
Tramways for the camera to travel along.
Jama really wanted to go for it.
Well, that's the great thing about Jama. I mean, he moves the camera beautifully.
Jama, Colette Serra, has done a magnificent job. He's very, very knowledgeable about the craft of filmmaking.
I think he's really a master of building suspense and drama, and he's clearly put a lot of time and effort into the direction of this film. He's very, very well prepared. He knows exactly where his edit points are, and he shoots to that. He's editing as he goes.
When it comes to the actors, if you're doing a scene, he will always give you a little note that's sort of left of field, just something you would never, as an actor, would have thought about.
Everything's a discussion. Anything you want to bring to the table is good with him, particularly if it lends more specificity. I think he's a very good director, and I think he's smart.
Okay, so by the 24th variation on his island, just for safety.
He's like a conductor, and he sees each film as a sort of a symphony. I love working with him. He and I have a real chemistry together.
Good, great.